this new Netflix movie called The Privilege. It was a really good movie. I did not expect it to turn out the way it did, but it ended up pretty good. It starts off with like this little boy at home with his sister, and he starts seeing these things happening around the house. Like there's some type of spirit that comes in there, and his sister. He started witnessing his sister um, acting crazy and saying that she's seeing things, and she see like this ghost, the doors opening up, all these like bizarre things happening while they're in the house. So they run out. He goes upstairs to check on her, I guess. She takes him along. They run out. They get in the car, and she's like running from something, whatever it is that's like chasing her. She stops the car like over this bridge and tells him like, come on, let's go, let's jump. Like she wanted to kill herself. He was like, no. And she was like pulling him down, and he ended up like kicking her off, and she ended up falling and dying. And he has two sisters, and this was, I believe, his oldest sister, Anna. And she ended up falling down and dying. And then he was like so shocked over it. So like fast forward, as he got older or whatever, his parents were taking him to this doctor, and the doctor was giving him these pills. These pills were supposedly, like, I guess, to help with his anxiety or whatever he witnessed, because he was like so devastated from it. He started having, and I'm not sure why all of a sudden, but I guess like started witnessing the same thing his sister Anna was seeing, ghosts and like this like evil spirits or whatever, and he was seeing like just different things were happening to him. And it started off with like one of his friends from school texted him and told him to meet him at this place, because I guess he wanted to tell him something that he found out. When he tried to go meet him there, the boy ended up dying. They said that he committed suicide, which he did not. The spirits or whatever got to him. And it was this lady that was in the gas station, this old lady. She like turned into something and like ended up killing him. So his dad and everything came to pick him up, and he was telling his dad, like, my friend, he was telling me something. He didn't kill himself. He was trying to tell me something, and something was after him. But his dad was like brushing him off. Even after he spoke to the chief or whatever, the detective, he brushed him off and all that. Like, no, like, you're tripping. So he's like, no, I'm not. Like, in his mind, like, I know my friend. He even texted me, and he went to go back to look at his text messages, and it was gone. They were all deleted for some reason. And he was like, what the heck is going on? So he kept having this same seeing his sister fall. He kept having like flashbacks of that, and every time he would like have those episodes or whatever of seeing things, he would take those pills. So one day he looked at the pill, and it was like a worm. It looked like a maggot or something, a worm that was inside of it. He was like, what the heck is this? So he took it to his science teacher at school and told his friend. He has a best friend that's a girl. I can't remember her name, but he tells her, and they take it to their teacher. She looks at it under the microscope and says that it's some kind of worm or something that's not around anymore. And she recommended them to go see this lady that knows all about these kind of things, worms and things that are extinct or whatever. They go there, and the lady, when they finally get to meet with the lady or whatever that is the expert in these things, the lady, she automatically like starts freaking out, and she's like, oh my god, like, this is not good, and she starts telling him about it, like has to do with like it was like black magic or some type of wicked demonic thing. And he's oh shit, like so he's been taking these things, and he's worried about now his sister Sophie, because she's been like he's been having like uh, weird visions about her or whatever, and so like his whole family think he's acting weird, but he's trying to like protect her because he doesn't want the same thing to happen to her what happened to Anna. It's another teen at school that a guy, his friend or whatever, he ends up going to the doctor as well. His parents ended up sending him to the doctor. He starts taking the pills, and his friends are acting really erratic and wanting to commit suicide. And they like, what is going on? You know, like what is happening? You know, they don't know what's happening because he jumps, and they go with him in the ambulance, and he's like, look at my folder, look at my backpack. And so while he's doing that, his other friend says she's gonna go leave and find out who's behind these pills. Those pills were like some type of new thing they were trying to do and implement, and say it's pretty much it's gonna start a new, like it'll help your teen or help your your child and be smart and focused and all this stuff, whatever. And then they were doing a seminar, so she's like, well, let me go ahead and look into this and see what's going on at this seminar. He stayed there with this other girl he was friends with, she also liked him and he liked her. So they waited at the hospital waiting to see if the boy was going to survive from the fall. So while the other friend is at the seminar, she finds out that the dad is the chief or the CEO of the seminar, of the product, of the pill. And she looks into like their lab or whatever, and they have all these dead corpses, and like with that maggot worm or whatever growing, that same thing that was in the pill was growing out of the dead people's body. And she also found that lady that they went to go see for help. Her body was down there, so obviously they got to her, they killed her or whatever or something. So, and that stuff was growing out of her. But let's go back a little bit. They went to for help. She was telling them about the pills, like how it's demonic or whatever. She went to their house, the boy's house, and with the girls and everything, and they were going to do a ritual to try to speak to the demon and see who it is, and try to, I guess, get it out of the house or whatever. So when they did that and the parents came home and caught them and said, they was like, what is going on here? So, and then after that she left, and they went back to go try to find her, and some guy was like, they left town, they were like scared, I don't know what happened. Their phone was disconnected and everything, so they couldn't get a hold of them because obviously they were dead, which the girl found out in their in that lab at the seminar in their building or whatever, that they were dead. So while she's doing that and the boy's at the hospital with the other girl, the dad shows up, and well, before that they look in the guy's folder and backpack, because the boy was like, look at my folder, as they were sending him off in the ambulance. So they look in the folder, come to find out they're all adopted. He was trying to pretty much give them some information, telling them that they're adopted. They had folders of pretty much their baby pictures and information about their real birth parents. So he was adopted, the girl was adopted, the boy that injured himself was adopted, his sister that died, that jumped, Anna, she was adopted. So they're like, what? Why are we all adopted? Like, what's going on here? The boy's father, he came to the hospital, and he pretty much, when he was, I guess, done seeing the boy, he came back to tell him that his son didn't make it or whatever. And he was like, I got something to tell you. And pretty much telling him that you're going to be you're a great asset to us, and it's going to get better, and you'll just see. So the boy's like, what the hell is going on? So I'm like, he just can't figure it out. So the girl that was at the seminar, she rushes and leaves out. She's like, oh my god, I gotta tell him what's going on, like this is some weird shit going on, like with this pill. So the boy and the girl, they're still at the hospital. Oh, and he sees that his granddad that has been in the hospital the whole time. He was coming there checking on him throughout the movie or whatever. They showed him coming there like twice to check on him and visit him or whatever because he was dying. So as he was like about to leave, he seen his granddad in there flatlining and dying. Right then, as they showed that, somebody came up behind him, a doctor, and like stabbed him with a needle, and he passed out. So he wakes up, him and the girl, at his house, tied up, and they can't get out. They're in like a wheelchair, some type of chair, tied up. The doctor comes out, and he's like, what's going on? What's going on? They're crying, and she wheels him into the secret like door in his own house. And it's funny because, again, the lady that they went to go seek help regards to the pill that was going to do a ritual that was at his house, when she was like going in his house, she had like sage with her, and she was like hovering her hand over like different things, and she was like, this area right here is not good, which was that secret door, So she wheeled him in that, and it was his mom, his dad, the boy's dad, the chief, the chief, the police or whatever, and his sister Sophie, the doctor, was all in there. And they was like, the doctor that he was seeing wheeled him in there and was pretty much telling him about what they are in their plan. They're like, there's fallen angels, and they're pretty much what they do is seem like they just take over, like try to take people's bodies. That's what they do. They used, I guess the pill was preparing them to take over his body. And so they had the granddad's body in there, and the granddad was in all this too. And so they were going to use now the boy's body in place for the granddad, since he died or whatever. So it seemed like they were preparing these kids or people. Pretty much it was the kids. Like they adopt them and they prepare them or something, to take the pills and prepare them to for their body to be taken over by one of them. And so while they're in the midst of trying to, they have him tied down, the doctor like splits open his tongue and puts that worm in there or whatever. And while they're doing that, the friend finally gets there that was at the seminar, and she unties the girl because the doctor left her in there while she was wheeling him in the secret door. She unties the girl. She goes in there. She magically has some gasoline, and she starts putting gasoline all over them because they all like stuck in this ritual they were doing, this seance. They were like stuck in it because they were in the midst of doing it. So it was really weird, but she puts gasoline all over them and everybody and sets them on fire, and takes the boy out of there. He pulls that thing out of his mouth, which is very disgusting. It's like a worm. And they pretty much all leave out the house as the house burns to fire and blows up or whatever. And Sophie comes out, which is his little sister, but she's one of them. And she's like, help me, you're not going to leave me, are you? Talking to the boy, her brother. And he's like, he has such a, compassion for her. He pauses and waits, and he thinks about it. And he's like hesitant, like, damn, should I help my sister? So he says, nah. So he gets in the car, like, let's go. So the girl's driving, and Sophie and, not Sophie, sorry, the other girl that he's with or whatever, driving and ended up running over Sophie, running her over. So it just shows them in the car, and then like as they're driving, that spirit thing or whatever that was coming out of their mouth started coming through the vents of the car, and the brakes stopped working. So they ended up, this car stopped, they got out, and because the car was about to go over the bridge and kill them. So they all got out, and they're like, well shit, what are we gonna do? Like, I was like, damn, what are they gonna do? They all adopted, their parents was all in on this, especially the boys, I was like, damn, what are they gonna do now? But see, they didn't show all that. So this was pretty much the end. them getting out of the car, them walking, and now the girl that was tied up with him, that was actually the doctor's daughter, but she was adopted supposedly. So, but it showed them walking. She stops, turns around and looks at the camera, and her eyes starts turning into how their eyes were turning into those demons, whatever. So she's actually one of them too, and then it ends. So obviously she's gonna probably end up killing them or whatever later on. So he was privileged supposedly for their use, just for they can take over his body. But it was pretty good. Check it out. It's about an hour and 47 minutes. It's called The Privilege.